All right. Today we are welcoming Mickey to the Shift Happens podcast, and I'm so excited to talk with you. So, welcome in.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. Man, you were the only survivor of a crash, hospitalized for 5 months, and lost part of your leg, and then went back to work weeks after rehab. What gave you that kind of strength?
My goodness. I think there were a couple of things that got me right back into work, but part of it is just the community that I had around me. I will say that, uh, that's a really a long answer to a short question. Just having built my life around continuing to look forward and to the things that were coming was um, co-chair for a women's conference that January following, and they have refused my offer for them to find another co-chair. So I said, okay, I'll be there. I had my company put me back on the payroll on January 1st so I could be at the January 8th meeting and co-chaired with my friend and had a ball doing it. I looked back at pictures of myself that was 2 years ago and I think, oh my gosh, how did I see that? I had about half of this much hair and it was all white but I was with my people and a lot of colleagues and friends that were there. It's a small conference and got a standing ovation just for showing up. It's the easiest standing O a person will ever but a lot of things combined into one.
Yeah, the people factor is such a big thing, and having that support behind you, I'm
Right.
sure helped so much because when I first was reading your story, I was like, how in the world did you have the strength to do that? So I was amazed.
Well, I think part of it is just embracing change and that's something that I've done all of my life. We moved a lot as a military kid. My husband is a pastor, so we moved 18 times in 31 years of marriage. So just being able to look forward to the next thing
Yeah.
and finding what's good in it, it just makes a big difference. That and then my faith is part of that too. I believe that I was here for a reason. And that and just saying, okay, this is what I've got. Give me the tools. We're going to keep moving and lots of love from different places during that whole time as well.
I love that perspective that your own life has given you is like looking for the next good thing. No matter how many times you moved, no matter how many times your circumstances might have changed, you were able to just be like, you know what? I'm going to find the good in the right now, here and now. That's what matters.
So sometimes it's a stretch, but if you keep pointed in that direction, it
Yeah.
makes a big difference. I won't lie and say there haven't been days when I've woken up and just said, okay, I really wish I could just walk into the bathroom instead of using the tools, wheelchair or whatever to get there. But I can snap out of that pretty quickly too, because I've just made a habit of okay, what comes next? Phone call I need to get on. Get up and move, girl. Um,
Yeah.
just just gotta keep moving.
I'm guilty of saying that to myself too, especially if it's something that I don't want to do. I'm like, let's go, kick it into gear. You got this. So obviously there was a physical change with this, but what other changes came from this, shift happens moment of your life?
I think probably the biggest one that you'll find most people say when something tragic happens like this, so your perspectives change. I've had been president of a company for a while, and that had been a big goal of mine to get to that. And as I laid there in the hospital thinking, okay, what lessons do I have? What lessons do I have for other people? And just kind of had those thoughts. A lot of time on my hands, but I had been feeling a call to speak and do public speaking, but I would turn to my husband and say, I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about. I work with 401k plans and nobody's going to pay me to talk about 401k plans. Just a couple of weeks into the hospital stay, I went to them and said, well, I know what I'm supposed to talk about now. Then I had the amputation as well. Got the visual, so I think I pretty much have to get up front. And so that kind of led me to the ability to say, okay, what else? needs to change. And at the end of June, I stepped down from being president of that practice, and it was very gratifying because the woman who's been my second in command and had just taken over for the 6 months that I was out was made president. So that was like, part of my life achievement award. And I took a role as kind of an internal advisor with a different type of company. And, it's just that they all know that I've done that. I've made that big change because where I want to go is into the public speaking arena. So I'm working on that. I should have my website live here in the next couple of weeks and hopefully get things up and running before the end of the year. So that was my biggest change.
Yeah. You said, "I need a story to tell," and God gave you one.
Oh, yes, he did. And I very much believe that, that was an intentional preparation for that moment.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories to tell is when I was in the hospital, they said, "Oh, nobody lives through this kind of accident." And then, "Oh, nobody comes out of that kind of accident without a head injury." I kept saying, God was holding my head. And one day a guy came in and he was, ortho hand guy, and he's checking the nerve on the back of my hand. Can you feel this? And no, I had a little numb spot here, and multiple times and saying yes, yes, yes. And then he kind of does one of these where he pulls my hand where I can't see it and asks me again, yeah, yeah. Why do you keep doing that? He said,
Yeah.
well, your nerve was severed. We really didn't think you have much feeling there. And I said, well, you know why that is. I know God was holding your head. So I thought, okay, I probably should not say that quite so much anymore, but they got the point.
I love it, though. I feel like when you go through things like this, it's so easy to see the negative in it, and
Yeah,
this almost, dare I say, jump-started your speaking career and was like, "You know what? I've got my story now. Let's go tell it."
yeah, yeah. I don't know what to say. Nobody wants to hear about retirement plans, but this, I think that you're right. It's a really common story about how can you become resilient before you need it is really what I would like to talk about. You're built with it. You just need to find where that came from and keep moving.
I love it. I have a signature saying that everybody has a story, and it's like, what are you going to do with it though? Because you can go down two very different paths. You can allow your story to keep you stuck in the spot that you're in or see it in such a negative light and only focus on everything that happened to you. Or you can really shift through that and be like, you know what? I'm going to help others shift with me and choose to kind of, use this for good. And that sounds like what you were doing is you were using your story for good.
Mm.
You credit community, mindset, and faith for your bounce back. So, what did each one really look like in practice for you when things really got hard?
Let's start with the faith. I have
Yeah.
a small community. I thought we attend a small church with a great bunch of folks. My husband's a pastor. I've gotten involved at a national level in the church as well, something about numbers and needing help with handling numbers. And so I know the bishop. And when I was in the hospital, what I thought was my little community ended up being a national community where I was having prayer from coast to coast and receiving packets of handwritten notes and people. I'm looking at my husband. You know who these folks are? And I think that's a little church in Kentucky that I know of. It was amazing. I literally had thousands of people praying for me. Bishop
That's
and his
amazing.
wife came to the hospital and prayed over me, and um, specifically chose to pray for one of my injuries that wasn't healing. It ended up healing better than the doctors anticipated. You know why?
Yep.
But also that I would not have trauma. And I have not had that outcome. I got in the car and drove when my body let me do that and didn't have fear associated to that. It doesn't freak me out to be in the front seat of a car. That was huge. So just that huge community prayer and um, to know that undergirding was there, that was huge for me.
I personally love the small churches as well because I
Mm,
haven't been involved in a big church. And This is not to say anything bad about a big church versus small church. I just personally, in my own experience, have gotten so much support in the small, little, tiny church. And then you go to the big one,
Wonderful.
and, sometimes you can feel like you're just a fish swimming in the ocean. You're like, I don't really know anybody. I've been coming here for a year and I haven't even said two words to people. Whereas that small church, I just feel like they just really rally with you and hold on to you, in a different type of way. So they both have their own characteristics, but I am all for the small little churches.
Yeah, it takes a lot more work in a larger church to get your
Yeah.
small group of people that you know and who are there for you. Not that it doesn't happen in a larger church, but to
Right.
find that closeness, it takes a little more work as well.
For sure.
Yeah, so that was safe. But community. So that's one of my communities, and it overlaps with the others. But I've been in the same business for my whole career and got involved with my group of folks who are professionally related and I thought I was working behind the scenes and help out with stuff, volunteer for things, not necessarily people that I thought would know me, but done some speaking on technical things and getting up front. So I knew, some people knew who I was. And then I was in the financial industry. So a lot of men, and there's a women's group, a smaller piece of it. And I've been really involved in that community conference and that, what else? I don't know, the church is piece of it. And when I was in the hospital, I realized these communities overlapped, but they extended farther than I had any idea. And it was just because I had been consistently involved in it. And I had, for our National Association for the Retirement Plan business, is thousands of people. There's a guy who's the CEO over the umbrella of all of that was in a video with a bunch of people who were in other states, and they got together and made this delightful video for me with about 20 people. I had cards coming from everywhere. An investment advisor friend of mine brought a basket full of stuff 3 hours from her home to the hospital with stuff from these ladies from our women's group. It just, I was so encouraged by that. I never felt like I was one of those people who stood up and say, "Hey, look at me." I'm not an extrovert, but it was very gratifying to know that what I thought was all years and years of being behind the scenes and gently being involved in other people's lives had been different. They had been involved in my life as well, and they were there to support me. And so, one of the things I encourage people to do is find your little group of people.
Yeah.
Find something that you're interested in. Is it photography? Go get into a group of people who do photos. Is it gardening? Join a master gardening class. Find people who have the same, whether it's work or just other interests. Just be part of some kind of community. Church is a bonus. If that's something that you believe in and are involved in, it's awesome. But there are other ways to do that, and finding those communities is key. I just had no idea that I would have that much reflection from those groups of people that I knew in
Yeah.
that way.
That's amazing. And you were able to really feel that presence of them there. And yeah, it just goes to show that when you are showing up for others, even in small ways, they're going to show up for you. And that's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, yeah. So the other thing that um, was just a lifetime of embracing change, and we talked about that a little bit, and having a positive attitude about it. What not not that I really wanted to pack dishes one more time, but okay, what can we find in a new place? What's going to be different? What can we find to look forward to?
Yeah.
And and just doing that with everything. And I think that when we get bogged down, and change is always hard in some way or another, and it can affect us in everything we do, whether it's work or moving, changing jobs, whatever. If we can look and see what's positive about this change and intentionally do that, the intentionality of having this positive attitude changes the outcome definitely. And um, there's an acronym, PACE, positive attitude changes everything. It's cheesy, but it's true. It's
It is so true.
yeah,
I love that. I connect with you so much in the fact that you use humor through the hard things as well. And I know that you've said, if you can't laugh, it'll make you crazy. And I feel that in my soul because I have had these moments in life where I'm just like, if I don't laugh right now, I'm actually going to just lose it and go crazy.
Right.
So what's something that you have used that in, or like an example where you found humor in the situation?
Well, probably one of the most fun things is I have a prosthetic leg. I had a little trouble with that the last few months I've been back in the wheelchair, but the prosthetic leg is difficult to say in conversation, so she has a name. She just somehow became Betty somewhere along the way. When Betty misbehaves, she stands in the corner, or when I get tired of her, we put her to bed. So it's just a, a lighthearted way. It's a whole lot easier to talk to people about that too than say, "Well, my prosthetic leg and my surgeon is my leg guy." It's just trying to make it easy for other people to have that conversation because I don't necessarily want to be that injured woman. I want to be Mickey, and that just comes with me. And so, if we can make it easier to talk about in a lighthearted way, I'm going to do that. The intention is to do it for other people. It makes it easier for me too when we're having fun with it. And I mean, amputees can frequently be either really dark-hearted because they just take it and consume themselves with despair over having lost a piece of their body. But then there's like this other group of this really dark humor that goes with it, and making jokes about being, I'm on my last leg or things like that. So I don't necessarily share that with everybody, but it's a really easy way to keep it more lighthearted. Yeah, I know I
Yeah.
don't have a leg from the knee down anymore, but it doesn't mean that I'm not the same person I used to be. I just use different tools to get around, whether it's the wheelchair or prosthetic leg or, walking with some other thing, with crutches or a cane or something. But that's just part of me.
Absolutely. I love the humor in that and that you can make the jokes. And I think what you said for talking about it with other people, it also helps because whatever your attitude is surrounding it or the way that you are framing it is going to be how others respond to it. Because you could get on here and be like, I lost my leg and I am in the pits of it. And this could have been a much darker episode, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you're getting on here and showing that there's beauty in change. There's a reason that things happen, and the beauty of community, your mindset, your people, your faith, and that is the direction that you chose to go with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I told people before, I love my husband. I love my family. Why would I want to make them miserable? Because
Yeah.
just drowning in the misery of it will ruin the rest of their lives. Why would they want to be with me? I mean,
Yeah.
other than they love me and they would do it, but I don't want to watch him be miserable because I'm miserable. That's
Right.
not me.
I love to laugh, so that's why I connected so hard on the laughter and, there's a
Mhm.
saying, laughter is medicine, and I totally relate to that because I just love to laugh, and if I can find the funny part or the positive part, I'm gonna try my best to find that.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I love it.
So tell me more about getting into the keynote speaking. Have you done some yet? Are you looking for more opportunities?
I am have there's a woman uh, Ekstrom who is a
Yes.
public speaker, and she does mic drop workshop and mic drop clubs for women, and she's very focused on training other women in speaking. So I've been part of her community for a bit. And she also has an academy, which is a small cohort of women that works with
Yeah.
her and a booking agent and a marketing person. So it's kind of a package. When you're done with it, you're ready to go. So I'm actually in the middle of that and have got my website going. I've done a couple of speaking events. I have spoken for years as a technical speaker for
Yeah.
retirement plans.
Right.
So I've been in front of audiences of 1,000 people or 100 people, different sizes, talking about retirement plans. So moving to this subject is new and it's all me because I've done a lot on panels in a different type of setting, right? But I love it and I'm excited about it, and it's just a totally different feeling than anything else I've ever done. It's a passion. I never thought I would say I had a passion project or a passion for anything, but I'm so
Yeah.
excited about doing it. Just as my website's about ready to go. I've got some video I'm trying to put together for a sizzle reel. Never thought I'd have that either. So it's fun. It's also, you're not going to be perfect the first time you do it. So looking at video of myself, I'm going, oh, you should talk louder. Just because you have a mic doesn't mean you can't talk louder. Things like that. So I'm honing at this point and looking forward to being able to go out and actually book some events where that I know that this is my thing. And because what I've done has been in very friendly audiences so far, and I know that I'm not going to get a standing ovation every time I speak because right now that keeps happening, and I have to prepare myself for not having that happen. So that's where I am. I hope my goal by the end of the year is to actually book 3 events for 2026 before the end of the year. I'd like to have 12, but if I can get 3, that'll get me started.
Right. I have actually done one of her free trainings for the Mic Drop
Good.
Club, and I have seen this all over. I've seen so many women jumping into this as well, and it makes me excited because I'm like, more women need to be telling their stories. We need to be hearing from women. Give her a microphone right now. So
Yeah,
I have been very excited to see this growth that's happening with the mic drop. And kudos to you too for going for it. I know it's not like you have to make that investment on yourself. If you want to get there, it is a great, great way to do so, but it is a little bit of an investment. But by doing so, you are investing in yourself. You are putting purpose to that passion project, and it is an exciting time to be in. So congratulations, and I hope that all the opportunities come your way.
thank you very much. Me too. I appreciate it.
Of course. So, what would you say to somebody that is maybe stuck in their before phase, before they've, started embracing the now or embracing what happened to them? What would you tell them?
I would say step out and ju- just find the way to take the first step, because that's the hardest thing for a lot of people. And then recognize that it's not going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect the first time, but you're never going to become good until you take the first step and try to do it when you're not perfect.
Right.
So I think we do that to ourselves a lot of times. I know I'm not going to get out here and be the best speaker that ever. I'm not going to be Mel Robbins the first time I get out there.
Exactly.
I don't know if I'll ever be a Mel Robbins. I doubt that seriously, but I do think I have a story worth telling, and that people will want to hear it. So if I can just say, okay, I'm going to do it this time, even though I look back at the video and go, man, I don't know why you didn't, you work the stage differently or do whatever. Because you're not going to know it until you feel it and see what it is that you need to do, and then you make corrections along the way and make yourself better. Truly, taking the first step, do the thing. Why not do it?
Yeah. I feel like that's something that I had to learn the hard way, especially with guest interviewing. When I
Mm-hmm.
first started podcasting, I actually was a completely different name. I didn't fail at it, but I was filtering myself. It wasn't my thing yet, right? But if I hadn't had that year of learning, I would have never been here. And then when I first was approached about doing guest interviews, I was like, no, I can't do that. That's not me. There's no way I could do that, right? And then you get on the first one, and then you get on the second one, and then you get on the third, and you just have to keep going. Of course, my first one was probably, I can't even imagine the difference of the first one to now, but that just
Might be
goes.
kind of fun to check it out.
Yeah, I know. I need to like go back and see what my interviewing skills were like then and then compare it to now. However, I just think that's so important to really just drive that point home of just start, because of course you're not going to be perfect the first time, but if you never start, you never start, and it's not even going
Yep,
to exist. So I
right.
love that you said that. What would be your biggest truth about resilience? I feel like that's a really good way to like come out of this.
Everybody's got it. That's the point. You have it.
Yeah.
You just have to tap back into it. I think um, we just look at how children learn to walk. They don't. They don't have it. They can't get up. They get up. They don't take a step. They
Right.
fall back down. But we just keep going. No one's going to say don't walk. And as a little child, you're not thinking, I just I'm never going to be able to walk. We just keep doing it. Well, somewhere along the line, I think we stop thinking that way. We don't have the same impetus. Well, we listen to ourselves saying things that aren't true when we say, "Oh, you can't do it, I'm not good enough, whatever it is, or we listen to other people telling us that. Uh, and maybe it's the way we were raised, but I think if we just listen to those things that tell us we can't do it, and then we just need to find it again and practice it and do the things, practice embracing change and finding the people around us who are going to support us. But we've all got it. I didn't change. The accident didn't change me. I was this way before, and I just kept going. And I think that's the biggest truth. We've got it. We've all got it.
I love that. Where can everybody connect with you outside of this podcast episode? I know you're getting all the socials going, but
Yeah, I'm at Mickey Murphy Steve at gmail.com, and I would love to connect with anyone who wants to. I may have my website up in the next couple of weeks, and that's MickeyMurphySteves.com.
perfect. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day and sharing your story of resilience that you have had, you've always had, everyone has inside of them. So I just want to thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today and sitting here on Shift Happens podcast.
Thank you so much, Kayla. I've really enjoyed it.